Yo, can you hear me? You listening to
W-A-W. What a week.
Eita, good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Wow, What a Week. This week, we're hanging out with a young man. I've been a fan of his for the longest time. He's a TikTok star. And in his spare time, he does radio.
This is Wow! What a week. What a week. Celebrity guest.
Our guest today does some of the most incredible radio. And one thing I love about him is he's old school in his approach and new school in his delivery of content. Like they said in the good old days, keep it simple, stupid. And he does that. He's also been a dorp-to-dorp traveler. He also does food, and that's in his spare time. When he's not doing all of that, he's a TikTok star. Please make some noise for 5FM breakfast show host, Nick Hamman.
I want that written on my tombstone, and specifically the DJ Fresh said it about me. That's the coolest thing in the world, man.
How big will this headstone be, though? Because
given my the fragility of my ego, very big.
Oh, yeah, we might as well do that then.
No, I'm kidding. But it is an honor, man. That's so cool. I had this wild moment while you were talking now.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like you have these very distinctive memories from your past, and they're almost like compartmentalized in the top drawer of your memory.
That was ready.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's one that I have of the Fresh Drive.
Yeah.
I can't pin the year.
Were you still in Cape Town then?
I was living in Cape Town. Long ago, man. You were on the drive show when I was still in school.
Oh, yes.
And I was driving, so it's probably matric. So it's probably like 2009. Does that track?
Yeah.
And I was coming back from surfing with friends, and your show was on, and I knew nothing about radio, but I just remember feeling so like excited and welcome, and the feeling was just nothing but really positive, and we were laughing at something you guys were doing. And I always just go to that memory every time that I think about you.
Yes, sir.
And to hear you now speak about me in like a validating way, that you even know who I am, even though it's 15, 20 odd years ago, is still crazy. And we were in Nerdhook somewhere, and I just it's not even like a good anecdote other than just to say that it will forever be weird to me that I'm like in this space and industry.
At that stage in your life, was there any inkling of there might be a radio bug lurking?
Yes and no. So radio became a thing for me that I always loved and admired, but never necessarily thought that I could do.
Yes.
So how I first got into loving radio was my gran would come and stay with us, and whenever she did, I got kicked out of my room and then would go bunk up with my siblings, like on the floor or something.
Yeah.
And then my gran, she would always put the radio on. That's how she fell asleep. That's how she woke up. It was her life.
Yeah.
And then when she left the one time, there was this radio just now next to my bed. So I thought, let me just put it on. And it was Kino Cummies doing the 7 to 10 show on Cape Talk. Yeah. And they were speaking about tattoos. It was like, because this is also, you know, early 2000s.
Yeah.
The taboo of the tattoo was more of a thing back then. And it was this whole conversation of, you know, should a person with tattoos be trusted and have certain jobs? Would you have a problem if your priest had tattoos? And I just found it so fascinating because I was a young skateboarder and all my heroes had tattoos.
Yes.
And I loved it, and I loved how he delivered it, and I loved it's something about I didn't look at it through the lens of content or radio and thing, which is interesting.
It caught your attention.
He got me that night, and I listened to him every night up until he was once talking about if you ever had a teacher do something funny when you were at school. Now, I was at school at the time, and the previous week, one of our teachers, a guy who him and I had like a long-standing feud, he stapled the memorandum, as in the answers of the maths exam, to the back of the exam, and handed out all the exams. And I called in and told the story, and the story got back to the school, and they wanted to know who I thought I was, busy putting them on blast on national radio. And that for me was just like, oh, people listen to this thing. There's a lot of people on the other side of the radio. And that was my life. I fell in love with the medium. I used to love listening to radio, and it became such a big part of my life, but I never thought that I would do it.
Tell us about the break.
The break I got was, I was in my second year of varsity. When I was at school, I loved music, drama, debating, culture. I got joy out of the arts. And I was in my second year of varsity. I was studying investment management because I thought it was the only way that I was going to have a future.
Yeah.
I was depressed. I was like, going to the psychologist, getting medication. I was missing exams. I was like, it was like in a really bad place in life. And I saw this advert for student radio one day when I was at the library. And I thought, maybe this will be like a cool outlet, something to do while I deal with the sad state of my failing degree. Yeah. And I signed up, got into the program at MFM, and immediately just started like seeing all these like-minded people that thought about the world in ways that I do and wanted to be entertainers and got joy out of creating something just for the sake of it.
The borderline misfits.
Yeah. The people who belong nowhere else.
Yeah.
And this bug bit me that it's something that only people in radio understand.
You have no idea.
You get it, right?
People have no idea. It's a feeling you can't explain to anyone.
But you get it. And that's the thing is like, and I've tried to explain it to even like my wife, but it's a particular kind of drug. And I took it and I've been chasing it ever since. And that led to my break was as a result of never stopping. I didn't go on holiday that end of year. I stayed at the radio station, did every single show that I could. I got onto the drive show there, and then a radio competition happened for Good Hope FM Campus DJ Search. I entered it. I won. Same thing. I used to go varsity to Good Hope, varsity to Good Hope. Yes. Took every slot, every opportunity. 5FM came knocking. I don't think they offered me a job.
Yeah.
They said to me, they're interested in me, and in the radio contract season, this was 2014, we think there might be something for you.
Oh, yes.
This was at the time they were planning on doing one of those, periodically they want to change lineups and things for whatever reason. And I think Gareth at the time was unsure of what he wanted to do. Yes. So he wasn't sure if he was going to go do his own thing.
At the time, yes.
Yeah. And so from my perspective, I think they were like, look, we don't want to lose you to a competitor because we think you've got some talent. But maybe you're going to answer phones. I think that was one of the conversations. Maybe you'll be a producer.
But just move here.
Just come here.
Yes.
So I came to Joburg and I waited.
Why did you agree? I mean, nothing was guaranteed, but you still packed your bags and left.
So part of that radio drug that you take puts certain things right up at the top of that mountain.
Yes.
And in South Africa, there's certain things. It's like, if you can, you've got to do. And one of them has always been and will always be work at 5FM.
I actually discovered you by mistake.
Okay.
So what happened was I'd played a mix on the Alta Mix at 6. And
I know where this is going.
And I got home and someone tweeted me asking me about a song. It was a Nick Hamman song. So I said, oh, that's Nick Hamman. But Hamman came up. But they look the same because I'm typing quickly. And I sent the tweet out. So I'd actually tagged you.
Yes.
And then I think someone...
I was so excited.
Yeah. No, and then someone said, no, that's the wrong Nick. And then I clicked onto your profile. Then I was like a radio guy. And that's how I started listening to you at Good Hope.
No kidding.
So you coming to 5 for me made sense.
Oh, wow.
In fact,
that's so cool.
There was a time where in my radio wet dreams was... By the time I'm done at 5, I'm seeing you and Rob Forbes doing both the drive shows. Because
that could have happened.
Because I love both you and Rob. Okay. So whenever I was out of town and they told me Rob is sitting in for me, because I remember a friend of mine saying, whenever you're traveling, someone's sitting in for you, are you not scared they want to take over the show? And I always said, I want someone that wants my show to sit in for me.
I get that.
Because if I'm not on my toes... and I'm complacent,
I understand
then
that.
I don't deserve the show. But I also want someone who deserves the show so that if one day I drop dead or I leave the station, there's someone who's going to fill my shoes immediately. So I don't think fearfully about sit-ins. I want sit-ins because they also remind me of the value I add.
And you're confident enough to know that you bring something to the table.
And that's important.
100%.
Yes, sir.
Radio, you have to have a bit of ego and bravado behind you. Otherwise, you're essentially, what you're doing is you're going out in the world and you say, I'm worth listening to.
Yeah.
The ideas in my head, the way I put things together,
Yeah.
the way in which I see the world is entertaining.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that, how the hell should a listener believe that?
Absolutely. In fact, myself and Onati just started 938 on Monday.
I know. Welcome back to radio, by the way.
Thank you very much. And like you're saying, it's a bug that I've never done crack, but people say...
It must be like crack.
But people say the problem with crack addiction is that first high is so intense. You spend the rest of your addiction chasing that first high. And radio feels like that to me. So the minute the mic is on, I'm like, fuck, here we go again. And that's what it feels like. And, to speak to what you were saying, that there are clients who've been calling the whole week saying, we're glad we're back on the radio. You're back on the radio. How do we get into your show? Because we love how you position our campaigns, or we love how you do things.
Yeah.
And I think radio people need to get into that mindset of how do I add value to clients in a way that if I am not on air, they're not booking their campaign on my show.
The industry also just, I think, needs more seasoned people in the industry. It's good for the industry because, it's very difficult. I'm a bit of a middle child in the sense that I'm old enough to have been on air with people who were on radio at a time when radio was the be all and end all.
Yes.
And I'm young enough to be on air at a time when there are people who aren't in any way connected to that kind of industry.
They can't relate, yeah.
And I think that this middle ground will ultimately need to at some point retreat back to good broadcasters being good broadcasters because it's the only way the industry will survive. I have, if I look at, say, 5FM, the history of 5FM, the other way of looking at it is there was a time where they were the only people in the country offering what they were offering. So of course they were going to be big. It was the only point that a young person could globally access pop culture.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter who was on air, they would have just been the hottest thing in town.
Yeah.
That's not to say that those DJs weren't brilliant. It's not to undermine them at all. But it's to realize that the challenge that the guys have now is to compete with smartphones, Spotify, global companies with billion-dollar marketing budgets that can drill so precisely into audiences' needs in a way that we can't.
They could literally counter-program your show intentionally to sync your show.
Yes. And that is, for a person who cares about the medium, a very, very difficult challenge. Yeah. And I say this with tremendous love of the guys that have come before me. And I think that's why that generation has validated me to a large extent and has reached out to me in various capacities, because I'm in no way saying, oh, you guys had it easy. It's just there was a heyday that was largely there as a consequence of the industry being built in the way that it was.
Yes.
Again, not to say they weren't brilliant. They were. But it's hard now. It's really, really hard now because of the amount of noise that's out there. And the mistake that radio managers make time and time again is to say, well, let's pander to the noise. So let's go and fish from the noise. Let's put social media stars, or let's put people that don't come from this world in front of this world. And there are very few examples of when that's worked. Very few. And I don't think that long term that's sustainable. I think radio people need to do radio.
Do you know how it could be sustainable? Because I think a lot of our radio managers are lazy. It's one thing to take a TikTok star or an actor or a singer, put them on radio. At least train them. At least train them in the basics of radio. At least take them through Radio 101. At least have them appreciate the art of radio so that when they bring the clout they bring, they also respect the medium.
I agree.
Unfortunately, a lot of them are not trained.
I agree. It's a very particular, and we're getting so radio nerdy now. I hope this audience is a big radio nerd.
I haven't had a radio boner in a very long time.
But what you're saying is 100% true, Fresh. I take a different stance to something. I don't hate. I mean, I'm on social media and I work with a lot of young people that are such brilliant creatives that are TikTok stars that manage themselves the way the radio guys used to 20 years ago. These are passionate young people. I'm of the view, they're not incapable of learning our craft.
Yeah.
Of course they can. And a lot of them, trust me, are willing. The way that I see them handle themselves, how they handle clients, how they arrive early for shoots, how they're professional in all their dealings, how they're courteous and humble. These kids, these young people would kill it on radio.
Yeah.
They would fall in love with it. But they have to be shown. They have to be shown what it is as a medium. But the idea of just like plastering people in front of microphones because they have clout elsewhere, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Your doctor's not your lawyer, and there's a reason for that.
It's lazy also.
Yeah.
Like, I need someone who can maybe bring in more listeners because I'm too lazy to do my job.
But they're not bringing in listeners.
But they're not going to bring in listeners.
Because they don't know how.
What are shit on radio?
Radio is very specific.
Yeah.
Radio, you're saying one thing while your mind is doing something else. It's a very particular kind of gymnastics. So, and you have to be honest and authentic while still curating. Yeah. And that is we learned how to do that. Yeah. We didn't wake up. I mean, by the time that I started, you had 20 years already doing it. Yeah. You learned it. It was taught to you by greats that came before you, giants whose shoulders you stand on, and then I stood on. And it doesn't just happen. We didn't just build this Rome thing in a day.
On a different note, though.
Yeah, that was pretty radio deep. Eh?
No, we're staying. We're staying.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm very committed to this.
How important is show prep really? So, do you think you could wing it on air?
I've got like a nuanced take on this.
Yeah.
So, I believe that a good radio show is done by a host, a producer, and a team that is obsessed with that show. Meaning to say, we don't prep in the conventional sense. We don't do a bosparat or sit together like behind a computer and look at stories and trends. We don't do that. We prep our show continuously throughout the day.
Even as we're sitting here, I can tell you for free, we're thinking radio about tomorrow's show. It's as we're sitting here.
That's real. I think people in radio will understand this. Your mind is always doing two things. Yeah. And very often, something will happen throughout the day and we'll go, that's something. There's something there.
And then you put it in the tab.
Yes.
The tomorrow's tab, but you're still doing this here.
Yes. Yeah. And we've got like WhatsApp groups, or we jump on ad hoc calls. So we're always, always, always preparing the show in that sense. And, I'm very lucky to work with a team that still has that attitude of, okay, the guest is in America, the interview's at 11 at night, no problem. We'll come in and we'll do it and we'll make sure the quality is good. So we don't, I have to know the news in case something comes up.
Absolutely.
But I like the news. Yes. So I do. And I to answer your question, I think if you're passionate, you'll never not be thinking about your show. And therefore, you're kind of always prepping.
You're always prepped. You're always ready.
Yeah, but I'm like heavily ADHD. So I'm not going to sit and write things down and do that. I'm just going to immerse myself in a world that I think my listeners are interested in.
What would you say, and like speak to me like I'm a radio student, what would you say makes the perfect breakfast show? What elements are important and what is just fluff, really?
Aha. So I think where radio can still win and beat out everything else is an ability to cut through to people in a way that is deeply authentic. And I don't mean that as like soapboxing, and I don't mean that to just fill the space with the words that I'm saying. I mean that intentionally. I think that the nuance of speech, because radio eliminates the visual, it eliminates everything else. It's just someone talking and somebody listening. The nuance you can achieve with that is different to anything else we've seen. It's different to what we can write down because there's voice. There's no voice in writing. It's different to the visual because the visual you can cheat with things that, like explode and colors. And it's the one thing that is, it goes straight into the mind of somebody else.
Cuts to the chase.
It's mind to mind.
Yes.
And if you remember that at your core, you will be successful in radio. So the other way that I look at this is I go, most seasoned radio presenters could do a show with their eyes closed without presenting. They could do time and temperature. They could do really tight links. They could tell you about the news of the day. But that presenter, that experienced presenter knows that they're not going to connect with the audience until they give some of themselves over to that relatability, which requires something. it takes something of you to give a piece of yourself to somebody else, and people can tell the difference.
Yes.
You could sit here for an hour and say not a single thing but a million words.
Yes.
Or you could say one thing that is either a vulnerability or an opinion, or it's the thing that I always use for when I talk about this to young people is when program managers tell you something like, if there's a debate on air, try to have two sides to it. It's not some random rule that's there so is that this feels like a game of tennis. It's there because as human beings, that's what we relate to.
Yes.
Our ears prick up when there's some tension in the room and conflict. It's exactly. And that's content and entertainment. You must know every single rule in order to be able to be malleable with the rules.
Yes.
But know them for why they're there, not because it's some dogmatic Bible. Understand the reason.
And it goes back to what I was saying about how a lot of radio managers, I don't believe, listen to their own on-air presenters. Otherwise, half the shit that happens wouldn't happen. So I mean, for argument's sake, this morning we had an issue we're discussing on my show, and myself and Tato agreed on one point, but it doesn't make sense if we're both going to agree on A. So one of us had to pick the other side and argue it like your life depends on it.
Sure.
Otherwise, well, what are we doing? One of us must go home then if we agree on everything.
Right.
But a lot of people don't want to do the walking through the mud to get it done. They want to keep it easy. It's just vibes.
Right.
I'll give another example. I'll tune into a radio station and I can hear there's an interview going. 15 minutes later, I still have no idea who they're talking to.
Yes.
15 minutes later, I still don't know the radio station I'm listening to.
Yes.
Because people take it for granted that you know where you are.
Yes.
But if you knew radio, you'd know that every 10 minutes, people are tuning in.
Yes.
Every 5 minutes, someone else is jumping on.
Yes.
And they're coming into a room with no label.
You know who was great at that? And he's back on air now, Nigel Pierce.
Yes.
So he used to do this thing, and he's a very like stylistic broadcaster. So there's one Nigel.
I love Nigel.
No, me too. But
managers love to hate him.
No, I've got a great Nigel story as well. But so I remember like Nigel was this thing. He's talking.
Yes.
And then just he'd do 11:30, 5 FM, capital NP, DJ Fresh.
Yeah.
Live in studio, and then he go back to the interview. It's like a very extreme version of what we're talking about,
Yes.
but stylistically he would.
But
do it.
Remember to remind people where the fuck they are.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted that they know.
So I think Nigel's like one of the greats.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I was 20, and I was at Good Hope FM studio sitting in on him doing. I think he was 9 to 12 then.
Yeah.
And I was just sat in the corner. Hadn't said a single word, and he goes on air without telling me, and he says, right, we're giving away tickets for the rugby, whatever, some Stormers match in Cape Town, and young Nicholas over here is going to tell you how you can win.
Fuck.
And he puts the mic on, and thank God that I was such a radio nerd that from the time that he was teasing this thing, I was busy thinking of ideas.
Yes.
Thank God for that, because he put the mic on and I had a mechanic. I was like, no, call in and pretend that the scores are tied at 80 minutes and something happens that wins it for the Stormers. You commentate through that, because that's what I thought would be kind of interesting.
Yes.
Thank God that I had that there, because I think what Nigel was hoping would happen is I'd have fuck all, and so, he'd be able to make a bit out of...
Yeah, there'd be like a teachable moment.
Yeah, welcome to radio,
moment.
kid,
Yes.
And it was, I think, I hope it earned me some respect in his eyes. And I'm thrilled that he's back on air, because he's very unique. But he's also, he's of the school of people that cares about this medium.
Absolutely. I love the way, like I said, it's almost like Nigel Pierce has a love-hate relationship with Cape Town radio stations.
Yeah.
They hire him, they fire him, they bring him back, he leaves, he comes back again.
Yeah,
He's at the SABC, then he's not, and then they call him back.
I remember him going on like an Instagram live on the day that he knew that he'd been let go, pretending like he's got no idea.
Yes.
And then, you see security being like, sorry, sir, he said, what? What do you mean? Like, Nigel, we sent you an email. We found, But entertaining.
I think Nigel Pierce was very content conscious before he became a thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. So he
for him, he turned a poo into content.
The one thing he did, which was quite funny, he did lots of funny things, but he had this like squad of cars that he amassed, all these souped up cars with really big sound systems.
Yeah.
And he got them to drive, like the one day he got them to drive to another radio station's offices in the parking lot.
Blaring his show.
Blaring. But then he just play like Good Hope FM stings over and over and over again. And it's like so childish, but it's so funny. And if you peel away the layers, it's actually very smart as well. And it's like...
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that's Nigel Pearce.
Yeah.
And that is what radio, I believe, is missing.
Yeah,
right now.
I think so too.
People thinking out the box, people who are willing to do un-radio things because they'll translate well on the radio.
Yeah, it's also too safe at the moment, I think.
It's too safe.
Yeah.
Do you think it's safe because of woke culture and PC culture and cancel culture? Now people are afraid to step?
Instinctively, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because the whole strategy we've taken with my show is we looked at the landscape. Now that you're back, we'll have to go even further.
Yeah.
But we looked at the landscape and we basically, that was it. We said, okay, everybody has gone into like, and there's some tremendous broadcasters, but a lot of people, a lot of stations are driving this thing of like, just be safe.
Yes.
Because the safer you are, the more likely we're already
scare the clients.
We're in a shrink. We're getting a smaller and smaller piece of the advertising pie.
Yeah.
Don't go make it any smaller. So my strategy, and one of the guys that I chatted to, there was a number of people I chatted to about this, like old industry heads and stuff. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go as close to the line as possible. Yeah. One of the things we got told 6 months in is that we'd increase the BCCSA complaints by 300% on the show.
That's brilliant.
In the 6 months that we were there.
That's great.
And I was like, cool, that's what we're trying to do. I'm not trying to lose cases, but I'm trying to get there. And it's not, I'm not a shock jock. I don't want to be provocative. I just, in my mind, it's giving people a different flavor to what is there. And on the woke stuff, so we've got quite a diverse mix on our team. White, black, gay, straight, Afrikaans, English, Zulu,
your Madiba,
Tsonga. Oh man, we are
anyone in a wheelchair?
We're a university poster. No, we don't have that.
Okay,
we're a poster for a university,
Yes.
But
man card.
Yeah, yeah, or like a DA election campaign poster, but so what we do very intentionally is we have conversations about race and sex and stuff, but not in like a weird, we're trying to lecture people way, just in a, hey man, we all come from super different backgrounds and that's okay. Yeah. And sometimes that's quite funny actually, like different sensitivities that we have and ideas and things. And the kind of psychology behind that is to get people into a space where we are just all a little bit more comfortable and we don't feel the sense all the time of like Big Brother over our backs trying to get us in trouble.
Or pussyfooting around each other.
Or that. Because then you don't talk about anything real.
Exactly.
And so we push that agenda. We say, cool, as a show, here's what we stand for. This is what we're about. We're not going to shy away from that. But have your opinion. So we insult each other and we laugh at each other and then we do things where we push it. So the other day we got our sports reader, Collie, who's like a very, very good sports reader and like an amazing book. But we got her to clap her breasts together on air.
That is so dope.
Just to see if we could make that sound and on radio. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like, it wasn't about being childish or anything. It was just about like...
And even if it was childish, so far...
I mean, it's a little childish, but it was funny. And it was like...
What does it sound like?
Cloth.
Yeah, sounds...
Would it be something... the question was, would you hear this on any other breakfast show? No. Good. Okay, then we're doing it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And I just think that... Yeah, I feel like radio has become so safe to safeguard this little piece of the pie that it has, but screw that.
Would you say that is the gap a lot of podcasts have managed to fill? That because radio generally is afraid to step where it used to step comfortably, now people are like the pussies about it.
Because I think humans crave it because it is authentic. Again, I don't want to offend anybody. I want you to feel like I'm a real person.
And a true radio master will not gratuitously be offensive. They'll say something that might offend you because it's their opinion.
Yes.
But they're not going out of their way to offend you.
Yes. There's an art.
It's not like saying fuckity fuck. A fuck could come out of your mouth on your radio show and you get away with it because it was authentic, unexpected, but it was the emotion at the time.
You've had a similar story.
I've sworn on air by mistake at 5FM.
But you got away with it. It was to do with, there was something to the tune of what you're describing is why you got away with it.
But that's the point I'm making. And there was a time I think I said poos.
It was puss that I remember that you
said.
said.
Poos on because we're talking about road rage.
Yes.
And about how sometimes you just wanna. But I got like into my emotions.
Yes.
And I said poos on air.
Yeah. But not a good idea, by the way.
No. But I apologized.
It all seemed very authentic.
But listeners understood the authenticity where it came from. Because you're not trying to shock people.
Yeah.
It was in that moment.
Yes.
And we dealt with it immediately.
Yes.
So it never reached the BCCSA.
Yes. I remember that. That's quite a famous case study in like radio history in South Africa. But yeah, I think cancel culture and all that kind of stuff. I think that there was a time that, man, you had to be so careful of that because there were real world consequences.
Yeah.
But now I also think that there's so many microphones now that it's, to an extent, it's kind of balanced it out a little bit. So you can find someone to have almost any opinion, and I think that more broadly speaking, we're like acknowledging as a world that that's
where the world is now.
Everything's kind of grey.
Yeah.
Every story has two sides. Every issue in the world has very smart people backing both sides of it, and so we're kind of almost in like a post-agenda world where nothing is black and white anymore. And with the podcasting thing, it's kind of like, so you could make a very compelling argument for, podcast. There should be a license for podcasters because there is some serious drivel out there.
Carry on.
No, but my viewpoint isn't that. My viewpoint is we are in a gold rush at the moment and everybody is trying to strike gold and people are trying things. It's explorative. And yes, some stuff is going to come out that is complete tripe and is irresponsible and defaming. That is going to happen. But if we start kind of trying to decide who's in, who's out, who's right, who's wrong now, we're going to lose out on a generation of greats.
Yes.
Because there's some people also who, when they started their media career, made gigantic mistakes, said horrendously stupid things, but fell forward because they had passion and they had desire and they had. Now you want to tell me that we should be looking to eliminate people and do a different form of cancel cut? No. Yeah. Let these kids talk. Let them learn. Let them learn. Fingers. And if you care, try guide them. Try say, hey man,
That's actually precisely what I've always argued. In fact, I was anti-cancel culture as far back as Hansi Cronje.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
You're an OG. As far back as Hansigate. Because I remember we had a conversation about it on my breakfast show at YFM, I think about 2004.
Cheapers, man.
And I can't remember, there was a listener who was like shock and horror. You're saying good things about Hansi. And I said to them, I don't believe we should throw Hansi out with his sins. Hansi is not the sum totals of his sins.
Sure.
If anything is the sum total of his skill. His sins might have fucked up his career. But if my son wants to play cricket, and my son at the time was, I think, 2 or 3 years old. That's him there. He's now taller than both of us.
I know.
And I said at the time, if my son wants to play cricket, I will with my chest say to him, Hansi was a great cricketer.
Got you.
Play like that.
Got you.
But also learn from his mistakes. But I'm not going to cancel him and make like he didn't exist. So that's been my attitude about cancel culture from day one. When Mampintsha and Babes were said to be in a relationship that had violence in it, I think there was even a video of Mampintsha allegedly abusing Babes. I didn't
see that, but
I was at Metro at the time, and I played a Babes song with Mampintsha on it. And someone said, you're playing an abuse. I was like, no, I'm playing a song that will get Babes royalties that will pay her.
I see.
So do I cancel Mampintsha's songs because of a video, but I don't know the backstory? Or do I play a song that will get Babes paid? I'm not going to cancel anyone. If anything, I'd rather pull Mampintsha to the side and say, my dude, what's the real story here? Can we talk about it? Do you need help with anything?
You got to figure something out, right? It's like, I get so tired every year. We do the same things with, like GBV stuff and whatever. Yeah. It's obviously not working, so whatever we are doing isn't working. And we're like the worst in the world at this stuff, right? I mean, it's like devastatingly bad in South Africa. So we probably do need to switch things up. I've never really figured out entirely where I stand on, You're talking about like art versus artist, individual versus celebrity, all that stuff. Not sure exactly where I am there, but I did see the other day that you can get a birthday message from R. Kelly. Now you can pay for it. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So you can pay R. Kelly and he'll sing to you through his prison phone.
So would you?
Would I?
If you have a good friend that you know is an R. Kelly fan,
do you know
that wedding song was an R. Kelly song,
right?
R. Kelly to them is our wedding day.
I get you. Do you know what's this? And this is honest. It's not me like trying to be political or anything about this. I honestly like with R. Kelly specifically. I'm not going to lie to you that I mean like that man's made some bangers.
Yeah,
but I just feel like uncomfortable because I know what he is accused of doing and was found guilty of. And it's not like kind of on the line stuff. It's like really, really bad,
he confesses in half his music.
Yeah. The signs were there.
Yeah.
But it's like really, it's stuff where there are victims and people will suffer irreparable psychological damage as a consequence of what he did. So I struggle when I hear his music to not go there. In my own mind, that's where I go.
Sure,
I'm not being prescriptive about how everybody must think about it. But that's just where I go. So I go. For me, I don't want to hear it
because that's my thing. Also, just in terms of how the world expects everything to be black and white, and on top of that, people almost want to bully you into their own causes.
Sure.
So because you believe in saving the rhino, me talking about having a party instead of saving the rhino now has you having sand in your fanny because you want to force me to be a part of your cause. And for me, that's problematic. Yes, there are a lot of nasty people out there, and I think we can all fight our causes differently. But don't force Nick, because a radio legend has died, to post "Rest in peace, radio legend."
Got you.
Because people do that. People police everything now. Your causes, how long you mourn for. Did you say rest in peace when AKA passed away?
Yeah.
It's wild.
But I also and I think you probably have a different exposure to a certain kind of celebrity culture that I don't.
What Black Twitter?
Is that a way? Maybe, sure. Is that a thing still? I don't know.
It will never stop being a thing.
So for me, I mean, I've got a wide audience and I have audiences in different spaces racially and culturally.
In fact, most kids think you're a TikTok star.
No, I know.
And know nothing about your radio career.
I know. No. We go do a radio show at a school and the kids line up for photos and they're like, What are you doing here, dude? I host a show, man. But no, what I mean specifically, not necessarily like a black Twitter thing. You've been around long enough. You are a status celebrity in this country. So like you have that. There's a cloth of folk of which there's a tribe of which you're a part that will just come up as like when you think of South African celebrities, that's you. So I don't have that. I'm well known. I've never really, and I think a large part of that industry is like you either were in it at the time and it's not what it was anymore. There was a time that certain kids were getting invited to certain parties. You were probably DJing those parties, right? It's like, the Heat magazine culture so now you're in that world and I think people treat people that are in your boats as if like you're characters in a sitcom, and the level at which that's allowed to somehow, for whatever reason, be dissected and scrutinized and pulled apart. And I thank God, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And so I don't have that. So it's easier for me to kind of have opinions about stuff.
I can tell you, even my 10-year-old complains about it. And it broke my heart. There was a day my 10-year-old said, we're going to the arcade in Monte Casino. And my 10-year-old said, I wish people didn't know you so we could play games without people disturbing.
No kidding.
It broke my heart, dude.
Because it is big with you. I've seen it with you firsthand many times. I mean, I get recognized all the time, but it's never, I think one of the differences with you is that it will be almost like a suspended, you'll be like, not godlike, but, kind of on an elevator. So with me, what happens is, Nick, hey, little fist bump, whatever, maybe a photo quickly. Where are you eating today? That's what I experience.
Yes.
What I've seen with you time and time again is it's this presence thing. And it's like, oh my God, Fresh is here. And so that then kind of suspends people's normal way of behaving, which is, I imagine, a lot harder to deal with. Because it's almost like wanting to be close to you and wanting to, adore you in some way. I've seen that. I've been out with you. So yeah, dude, no, I would suspect that that's quite challenging.
It is. And then when you add kids to the mix, it doesn't help.
Sure.
Yeah. We're going to talk about radio just a little bit more.
Dude, I don't get to do this.
And
Like,
I know.
I've got like 4 friends like you who like radio as much as I do, and we go and have beers and do exactly this. So I'm thrilled.
In fact, speaking of podcasts, before we leave the podcast, you're one of the first radio guys I knew that got into podcasting.
Yes.
Because you interviewed me for your podcast about 4 or 5 years ago.
I was early and then I got out.
You were early. I mean, you walk around with this Rode desk and you're telling me like why it's great to own. I must own one.
Yeah, I see you've got one in the corner there.
And you were excited about it.
Yeah. I didn't quit the podcasting thing. I was one of the first, and we actually did quite well. Like looking back at some of the numbers we had with some of our episodes, it's like people were paying attention to it. Called Nick Goes Inside. What happened with me? So that was all just ahead of COVID, and it was around the time I was turning 30, and I started to see like ceilings in my career. Had a lot of friends who were moving overseas, and it was this like point in life where I was going, okay, what do the next 10, 15 years look like? Am I always going to have a space on radio? And by extension, like, is it worth, and it wasn't a conscious decision to stop the podcast. It was a thing of, I need to go build other stuff.
Yes.
I need things. And that's what I did. So there's a lot of my life that I'm like not really that public about, where I own little pieces of companies, so I went and did that kind of stuff. Got a lot like a rev share in like a streaming company and a company that sells stuff online, and like I've got a golfing business I'm involved with. And I went and worked on that side of things, and that chowed a lot of my time, which is probably why I stopped podcasting.
Yes, sir. But in fact, you answered the question I was going to ask you next about the regulation of podcasting. So you figure, let it be open season.
I mean, I think
the wheat and the chaff will separate themselves.
Look, the laws do exist, well thought out laws that are enshrined into our constitution about what we can and can't say about people.
There's recourse.
There is recourse that's not going to now be superseded just because somebody spoke into a microphone versus like a radio show, whatever. But at the same time, the political idea to I thought that because that came out on the back end of the MacG stuff.
Yes.
No, I thought that was an opportunistic move by politicians to be in the news cycle.
Yes.
And then I generally get very skeptical with this kind of stuff where I go, well, there's probably going to be some form of tax here or some kind of money grab involved. Like that's what that looked like to me. And again, like, I'm cool with both the people on both sides of that debacle, and I really hope they both sort it out.
Both me and you, actually.
Yeah. So I've got no dog in that fight. But I don't think that it's worth. I'm not a big fan of government getting involved in much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Especially not the creative arts, because we've got enough evidence to suggest that that's a bad idea. But I'm also the kind of person who acknowledges that a lot of the change that I want to make in this world, you have to work with everybody.
Yes.
I can't. A lot of the stuff that I'm involved with now, it has to be because I try change policy with a lot of the stuff in the food sector that I'm involved with. So I don't close doors to people. I don't make enemies with anybody.
Before we turn to food, the Avengers radio game.
Oh, wow.
FM. Who is on your lineup?
Good Lord.
Are you looking for talent, chemistry, versatility, storytelling?
No, I'm looking.
Break it down.
I'm looking for pure indulgence. I like this.
Yes.
That's what I want. And I'm sure all of those things are baked into all of that.
Yeah.
But no. Do you want me to give you, what do you want, like a lineup?
Yeah, give us a lineup.
Okay.
From early breakfast, 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Okay. So I'm gonna take myself out of this.
In fact, I'm not assuming I'm on your lineup, but leave both of us out of it.
I was gonna put you in the afternoons,
Yeah.
just because of those memories of the fresh drive that I had. It was just so special to me.
Yeah.
And then once I got into radio and I started being able to analyze radio, I started to realize what some of those mechanisms were that you were doing and why it was good. And so, okay, well, for this
so you reverse engineered my show.
Yeah. There's actually things that we do now that are still from, and I've gone and spoken to old producers of yours just to check that I'm right about certain things.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, that's right. Okay, so
Nick, thank you.
but it's the truth. Okay, so I'll go breakfast really clubby. I loved when she was
Brilliant
somebody
mind.
that I could listen to every day.
Yeah.
So when she was Rudy Dereko and I was growing up, and they would simulcast the I don't know if it was 9 to 12 or when it was, but she was on Cape Talk and 702.
Yes.
And I just loved it. So she's going to do the breakfast show. Then 9 to 12, this kind of radio, I always want someone who's just like a master of smoothness. So I'm going to put Alex J there.
Oh, yes.
I want that. Yeah.
Is it not wild how he's consistently delivered flawless radio, Alex?
Yeah. I think he deeply cares.
Yeah.
I've been very privileged to have enough conversations with him to kind of do what we've done now with the nerdy side of this industry. But he just, he cares so deeply about the medium, and he does a kind of radio that's so different to me. Like I care about my voice and that kind of thing, and I warm it up, and I'm conscious of mic technique. But he's like the godfather of that. He's less going to give you an opinion, more just make you feel good. Which is why I'm putting him also where I'm putting him, because that time of day,
exactly.
That's what I want.
Alex could just back announce 2 or 3 songs, but the way he intentionally does it, you're like, fuck, I know why this guy's on radio.
Yes.
Just back announcing 3 songs.
Yes. So lunch for me is now slightly different because now I want somebody that is kind of moving a little bit out of what we were doing with the 9 to 12. It's not just smooth. I want you to have like a little bit of bite. But still not quite what I'm going to do for later.
Yeah.
And I mean, this guy, in my opinion, could do any show at any time, but I'm going to put Bob Mabena there.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. So he's going to do the lunch show because it's going to have elements of like, it's just fun and funny and whatever, but then he's also going to be able to cut in when he needs to.
Yes.
But he doesn't have to give me the drive every day.
And Bob Mabena had a debonairness about him. I don't know if
it's just cool swag.
Yeah, he's just. Yeah. I always said to Bob, I don't smoke, but the way you make smoking look cool, if I ever started, it'll be because of how cool you make it look.
Light me up, man.
And Bob was that cool dude.
Light me up.
On and off radio.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Drive, I'm going to put Anele.
Yeah.
I just think, I think there's few people that have the. It's a kind of it's charisma mixed with she's like soft and hard at the same time. You know what I mean? She's got that thing of like, I will be really sweet to you, but don't give me a reason not to be sweet to you kind of thing, which is a type of intelligence and EQ. But she's also just very good at radio. And I think drive time.
And witty, fast-minded.
She's very fast-minded. And when I agreed to do the breakfast show on 5, that was one of my biggest concerns was like, but you've got Anele Mdota on breakfast at the moment, and I know how loved she is.
Yes.
So that's like a challenging, which is again good for the industry. But I'll put her on drive. Then now I've got, let's call it like a 7 to 10 or a 6 to like a nighttime show.
Nighttime radio.
Roger Good.
Yes.
And specifically Roger Good doing that kind of radio. When just before I got to 5, Roger Good was still on the 7 to 10 show on 5FM.
Yes.
And what a lot of people don't know about me is I was station producer at MFM. So making all the like jingles and adverts, and I love sound. I've got a background in jazz. I grew up as a musician.
Yes.
I would listen to Roger and I would be like, this guy knows so much about the technical side of this industry.
He's a geek as fuck.
He's such a nerd, dude. Yeah. And like we like friends now in the sense that like, when I go down to Cape Town, I'll hit him up and we've had some amazing nights together. And he's in the best way a weird dude.
I was going to say, he's a genius even in his weirdness.
Yeah. No,
genius.
He's super weird in the best possible way. Yeah. And also just has these wild stories about his life that like I don't think we'll ever see the light of day, and he probably wants it that way, but he's amazing. One story, and I've actually shared this with him, and he didn't know that I knew this, but there was one night that a friend of his was in hospital. He was going to go and visit them. And Roger just went and like, no, this is wrong. There's a different story. Roger was in hospital and he went and like took scrubs, like he impersonated a doctor, and he was going up to patients with a clipboard and like asking them questions like, no, it says here that you have this wrong with you and that. And a friend of mine was working in that hospital and went to him and was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You gotta get back in bed. You aren't allowed to just be giving like, advice to people and stuff." But and this friend of mine says to me, anyone else in the world, we would have probably like phoned the police.
Yes.
But because it was Raj and the way he was doing it, it wasn't offensive. Yeah. It was cheeky and it was funny. So he's doing the 7 to 10 for sure.
And who's wrapping it up overnight?
Oh man, I want Eddie Zondo to do that because I just feel that smoothness in that voice. You know what I mean?
So David is only from 10.
Yeah, the late great. I'm assuming I can.
Yes.
Yeah,
we would hold a séance or something.
Yeah.
Resurrection.
The late great man, and we've got his daughter with us now at 5.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that I mentored her.
I can tell.
Lula.
Yeah, Lula.
Lula had a school project over school holidays.
Yeah.
And they said, whatever career you want to look into, go get into that environment. Lula in her school uniform arrived at the window at 5 FM with her mom.
No kidding.
In the afternoon. And she knocks, and then I go to the door, and she's like, I have a school project, and we need to shadow someone in an industry I want to get into.
Yeah.
So Lula spent the afternoon with us, with her mom. I think her mom came back and fetched her. And I said to her, you can sit in on condition you ask questions. Because I don't want to waste your time.
Right.
I want you to raise my
I bet she did, though.
I want you to. She asked like a ton of questions.
Yeah.
I gave her advice. She followed it to the T. And she's where she is right now. Because the first thing I said to her was, find a campus radio station as soon as you can. Get in there, get in your hours, get in your experience. And she did that at UJFM. So the minute she got a gig at YFM, I was doing breakfast at Metro.
Right.
And she showed up with a cake. It was a cake with a T-shirt. Just to say thanks. I followed your advice, and YFM just gave me a job.
Hell yeah, man!
So she's my people, dog.
No, I think radio types must watch that woman's career. I think I think she will become one of the greats. I really do.
She's radio.
Yeah, and she likes the medium, and I love listening to her. She's, there's a couple of people. I'm not a complete old head that now thinks everyone coming in is. I don't think there are some talented people, but she's part of the tribe.
Lula special.
She's in the tribe. She's in the tribe of people, most of which have come before.
Yes.
That are fewer and further between now. She's in the tribe.
In fact, I'm actually loving what 5FM are doing right now. And even Metro to a certain extent, almost taking things back to radio.
We try,
and I can see it from where I am. I can hear it, even though sonically it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, when I left Five not happy. I'll tell you why.
Sure. Yeah.
Because when I joined Five,
2017, 18.
2017, 18. Yeah, I joined Five because I wanted to work for a radio station that's an alternative for people who don't want to listen to Metro or YFM.
I think it's also worth pointing out, because I think people forget, you didn't need to go to Five. Like, you could have...
I should have gone to Metro.
You could have walked into it. I mean, the level you were playing at, coming out of Y, the most sensible thing to have done would have been to go to Metro.
Absolutely. So I went to Five because I wanted to be a part of something different. And when the music started evolving, I think there was a lot of pressure also from outside. When we started playing songs we were hearing on Metro and on Y,
right?
For me, it stopped making music sense. And we're a music radio station. I want to be happy in between my links.
Got you.
So I started feeling like Five is pandering too much to the noise, music-wise. Even the lineup at some stage I felt became a bit wobbly.
Sure.
But right now, you guys are sounding fucking amazing, bro.
Well, thanks. I mean, that means a hell of a lot.
I probably spend more time listening to Five than any other radio station. And I haven't listened to Five for these extended periods since Gareth left.
That's really cool.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. So it is intentional and it is by design. I was going to leave.
Yeah.
And I had some people that I really respect come and speak to me and say, hey, listen, we really want you to come and do this breakfast show.
Yeah.
And I said, why?
Yeah.
And I was waiting for them to be able to explain it to me in a way that I wanted to hear, and they could.
Yes.
So yeah, we've got, as much as I've had my fair share of ups and downs with managers over the years, and I've been very public about that. Yeah. At the moment now, we've got Masi Kala, and him and I, we
No,
see eye to eye.
Station sounds amazing.
Yeah, dude. But it's also like the culture is back. And this is like a real nerdy deep dive. But I remember when I joined you guys, so you were in the afternoons just at the beginning, and there was that place, Cat's Pajamas.
Yes.
Fridays you do like pizza. And people would come and hang out in the green room, hoping to get some scraps from the fresh drives, pizza and whatever, But it was just like the sense of camaraderie and the sense of like you had your place in this thing bigger than you.
Yes.
That kind of washed away. I think by the time that you left, you would have seen a decline of that sort of culture and camaraderie. COVID didn't help, as I'm sure you can imagine. And it's in its own special way, it's coming back, and you can feel it again, and you feel this sense of siblingness to people there, and the sense of like we've got a bigger goal in ourselves, and it's you saying that is such a privilege to hear come out of your mouth, because we're feeling it on our side.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, bro. It's incredible. I mean, the fact it's rare to have two drive shows that are pumping at the same rate.
Yeah.
Many radio stations are not getting that right.
And it's like, and we're so different, but with such mutual respect, you know. Yeah. So, I mean, myself and Zanele are like very different people in terms of what we find funny, in terms of what but we have this like eye to eye in terms of, it's this, which I imagine when you and Gareth were on air together, because I mean, such different dudes, right? I mean, like diametrically opposed in so many ways.
Get along and respect each other.
But could have a tequila together on a Friday kind of energy. And the whole world, well, myself anyway at the time, as a high schooler, wanted to believe that that's what happened on a Friday night, that like once a month you just happened to be at the same Tiger and did a tequila together.
That's literally what it was.
You know?
Yeah. That's literally what it was. So yeah, man. Now, I remember when you joined 5, I think you're probably the youngest on air at the time.
I would have been,
and
22.
10 years later, you've added a wife to the collection.
Yeah. Some gray hairs.
Why did you get married, bro?
Why did I get
married? Tell us
married?
about that journey.
Shit, dude. Okay, so I'll tell it through the lens of how my wife and I met.
Yes.
So I stayed in digs a lot of my 20s. So I lived in like communal settings with very different people, young working professionals, lawyers, psychologists, whatever. And one of my very dear friends, his name is Ian, psychologist, his sister would come and visit us from Bloemfontein, where she was working as a nurse.
May I disturb you for a second?
Yeah.
Now that my radio mind has been switched back on, as I'm listening to you talk, for a second, I was looking for a meter to see your mic levels.
Oh.
No, it's happening in my mind.
Okay.
And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, where's the meter? No, carry on.
And she would come and visit from Bloem. And one of the things that I love doing, doesn't matter who you are, if you come to Joburg, I think Joburg's the greatest city in the world.
Absolutely.
If you come to Johannesburg, I will show you a version of Johannesburg you will fall in love with.
Yes.
So I do this all the time. I ask people, I say, well, tell me what you love and what you like, and I will show that to you in Johannesburg. I will prove to you this is the greatest city in the world. So same thing with her. She expressed an interest in wanting to see the city, and so I started taking her out on these tours, and we kind of just connected a lot and spoke a lot together and had these like mutual
it is so cool
sense of passion around the world. And then COVID hit, and she's a nurse, so she was working in COVID ICU, and it was a terrifying time. And our conversations started becoming more and more about that, and they became less in person and more on the phone. And I realized more and more that this is something that I wanted to pursue. I wanted to pursue her, but because I've been raised in quite a traditional way, and I have certain values that are quite unwavering to me, and I'm proud of those values. But I wasn't going to just go start dating a friend's sister. So one night, I remember, again, we lived in a digs together. I gingerly went up to his room, knocked on his door, and had the chat with him. And I said, "Listen, this is my intention. I don't feel I need your permission, but it would mean a lot to me to have it."
Yes. Blessings are everything.
Yeah, I would like to. I would like to be able to ask your sister out formally. And he said something. He's a very smart guy, and he said something. Oof, Radio 101 fresh.
And I just got off air. I don't even know why this thing is on. Yeah.
And so he said something very profound to me at the time, and he said, the sadness I have is that our friendship will never be the same.
Yes.
But I cherish what it could become.
Ah, yes.
And
I could lose a friend and earn a brother.
Exactly, which is what ultimately happened.
Oh, wow.
So throughout the rest of the time in COVID, you had to be very intentional about who you were around. And obviously her being in the hospital, it was like an added layer to all of that. And so we got to know each other really quickly and really well. And pretty soon I was like, I'm going to marry this woman.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, we got engaged. 3 years later, we got married.
That is so dope.
Yeah. And if you'd spoken to me in my mid-20s, I probably would have given you some speech about how I don't think I necessarily will get married. Funnily enough, I still to this day don't believe in a lot of the institutional side of it.
Yes.
A lot of the, it's because, you must do these things. And I'm not a religious man, so a lot of that stuff is lost on me. But the idea that you want to, in full witness of everybody you care about, proclaim to them that this is the person you want to build life with. That's what I wanted to do.
Yes.
And that's why I got married.
That is so dope. So, for a guy who doesn't believe in regulation, you decided to involve the government in your relationship.
Yeah.
It's like,
After community of property. No, well, yeah, I don't believe in the regulation of speech.
Now, your mom and dad have quite the love story themselves.
Yeah.
What do you wish they'd warned you about when it comes to marriage?
Warned. So I am like in
Or just
awe.
caution.
No. I'm totally with you. I'm just trying to think. So I'm in awe of my parents. They celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary about 2 months ago. So we all went.
The love story is epic. Could you just tell it quickly?
Sure. I mean, so it's kind of funny also as well, but essentially my mom and dad met in a dark room at university. My mom studying to be an oral hygienist, my dad a dentist. And so she went to go develop some x-rays in the room, and they met and they chatted and they kind of hit it off. And he was driving down to Cape Town that next week, and he kind of propositioned her and he said, you want to come with? And she said, yeah, cool. She actually had a boyfriend at the time. Came back from that trip engaged.
Oh, wow.
So it happened on the road trip that they took together. So I actually last year took my parents on a holiday, my wife, myself, and my parents, and we recreated some parts of that initial route that they would have done. They fell in love, they got married, they immigrated for a while, came back to South Africa, had 4 children, and have honestly been like a real pillar to myself and I think my siblings too. I mean, yeah, I've never seen them really fight or have any kind of like issues, but they're honest people and they're just good people. My dad, when he spoke at the 50th, it was a 50th wedding anniversary, he said, 50 years of marriage, what have I got to show for it? It's all sitting at this table, and it's the kids and the wives and the nephews and grandsons and grandkids. So, I mean, my dad once, not about marriage, but just about life, one thing that he said to me that stuck more than anything else was he articulated the idea that there's no guarantee of success in life. So the matrix of choices that you have available are, you can either succeed or fail. So would you rather, let's assume failure, would you rather fail having done something you loved or failed having done something you hated?
Yeah.
So you go, well, rather something I loved. Would you rather succeed doing something you love or something you hated or something I loved? So the best possible outcome statistically is to do something you love.
Yeah.
It's the most likely that you're going to be fulfilled.
Absolutely. And, that's why I always tell the story that I started DJing when I was 13. I'm turning 53 in October.
Go ahead.
And I'm still DJing. And I don't want to do anything else. I put these kids through school just DJing.
That's nuts. My uncle's also a career DJ.
Yeah.
I get it.
and yes, times have changed. It's not necessarily as easy as it was, but it was not to get to where we are right now in order to have it as a career. You're building, it's blood, sweat, and house music and tears.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the only thing I'm sad I missed out on, I DJ'd for a little while, is those compilation CDs you guys used to make.
Yes.
That helped a lot, I think, with the pocket, apparently.
It did. EMI, would always write an advance check for each house flavor. Because before house flavor would come out, we'd get platinum sales worth of pre-orders.
Wow, okay.
So based on the platinum sale pre-order, EMI would say, here's your advance.
And it was, as I understand it, I mean, without, the specifics, as I understand it, that was quite lucrative.
It was lucrative until the market flooded. Then it stopped being lucrative.
Okay.
But it was decent money. But obviously, you're also paying tax. So
Yeah,
it's lucrative for everyone.
It runs out, yeah.
It was lucrative for
Everyone gets a
including
piece.
SARS, you know? Back to the question I asked you. The one thing you wish your parents had shared with you about the pitfalls of marriage.
So we've only been married for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So I think the pitfalls of marriage that I wish that they'd shared with me, I think it would be how, everything in life has the after the occasion period.
Yes.
So in a relationship, it's after the honeymoon period. When you lose somebody, it's when you have to get back to normal life that it really gets hard. And I think in a marriage, it's the dynamic of figuring out all the stuff that you could never have spoken about before because it never came up before.
Oh, yes.
So challenges, things that are difficult. We communicate really well, my wife and I, but you're never going to know stuff. And I think if I was my parents and I had the luxury of hindsight, I would have told me more about what happens in the spaces in between when you aren't done becoming who you're going to become.
Yes.
You're never done, and neither is your wife. So the person you marry in your 20s and your 30s is not the person you'll be married to in your 40s, and you aren't that person either.
Absolutely.
Nor in your 50s, nor as you go. And that sense of awareness, I think, probably impossible to impart on someone, but that's what I would have wished.
And if I can give you advice, if you guys plan on having any kids,
we're trying.
It's the same with children, that your firstborn you're having at a certain window period in your life. So your secondborn is going to be exposed to a different parent that your firstborn was exposed to. So it's very important to be intentional about how differently you raise the secondborn to the firstborn. Because often we just copy and paste what our parents did, and we say, I like that, so I'm going to replicate it. I didn't enjoy that, so I'm not going to bring that to the family. But we are different people with every child that we have, and we need to remember that.
I've learned that, not in my own experience of being a parent, obviously, but through chatting to my brothers and having very different reads on elements of my parents.
Exactly.
And it's almost like those were two different people.
Exactly.
And that's good advice.
But even as parents, we don't acknowledge it, that we were a different person. Maybe when you had your third born, you were going through a retrenchment. So the energy you brought home in that period is totally different to when you had your last born 10 years later and you're thriving.
I'm with you.
So, we need to cut ourselves slack about, where we feel we might have dropped the ball as parents, but also we need to appreciate the fact that we're raising people in different eras of our own lives.
I'm with you.
So just remember that as you...
It'll plant a seed. And
as you have your children.
And 15 years from now, I'll phone you and be like, listen, that seed has just grown into something.
And while you're at it, we for our last born, Lifika, we tried for 5 years.
Oh, no.
So it's you
the practicing is fun. I mean, it's not, we're not struggling to practice. So
the practice is the best part.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to a fertility clinic.
I know.
After 2 years, because we're like, what's going on here?
And it's getting worse, you know that.
And in fact, I remember I said we must go to the fertility clinic because often we assume it's the woman that can't bear a child.
Sure.
So we went to a fertility clinic in Parktown, and at the Brenthurst Clinic, and I was given a magazine and a little fuck. I was told to go into a little room. I was like, baby, I'll be back. I want to knock one out.
You need a magazine for these days. So anyway,
when you have a wank bank in your phone. Anyway, so I did what we had to do, and I was the problem.
Yeah,
so,
you see.
So I was told that, no, your sperm is lazy.
Yeah.
So you need to do lifestyle changes, don't drink, eat more of this, and you'll be fine.
Yes.
And then we stopped trying. 5 years later, dude arrives.
So we've got a trip to Mauritius coming up.
Yeah.
And if we're not pregnant by then, I'm pretty confident that's when it's going to happen.
Yes.
All my friends are like, when they stop trying, they're like, go somewhere, go on holiday, take a load off, and all you, excuse the pun.
Taking a load off. There's nothing to offload.
I'm out.
Okay, I'm reloaded. Listen, enjoy Mauritius.
Thank you.
Enjoy trying.
I will.
But again, be kind to yourselves.
Got you.
We're always hard on ourselves.
I got you.
And be kind to each other. Because trying often also becomes a point of tension in relationships. So be kind to each other.
I'm with you.
And you guys will be fine.
I'm with you.
Finally, who's more blunt between you and your wife? Let me tell you why I ask. You work in radio and you often have to tell things as they are. She's a nurse, so she has to tell you, the boil on your anus.
Yes, she's probably going to get looked at.
Or needs to be popped, or spread your butt cheeks a bit more.
Yeah, she's definitely more blunt than me. She's fantastically blunt. I mean, in general, she's a very good communicator.
Yeah.
And nothing's really off the table with her.
Sure.
So she'll happily talk about the most awkward of things in any capacity.
Sure.
Definitely her.
Do you guys ever play DJ, nurse?
Probably, yeah.
Nick, we are out of time.
Sure.
I'm going to have you back, please, for a part 2, where we can talk about the other side of your life. I brought you here for radio because you love radio. I love radio. And I think as lovers of radio, we don't have conversations enough in this country.
No.
So we want to bring you back to talk about every single town that you've visited, every eating place that where do we go to eat? Like, what do you recommend? All of that we'll talk about. But in the interim, where do we find you on social media?
So, social media at Nick Hamman Graham on Instagram, TikTok, Nick Hamman 5. But if you Google Nick Hamman, I will come up. But hammyeats.co.za is where I'm driving everybody now. That's my hammyeats.co.za. Or .com. We bought both domains.
Yes.
I'm convinced this is going to become the biggest thing in food on the continent.
I agree with you. I went to Solly's with my daughter after shooting podcast because I saw Solly's on your Instagram.
That it means the world to me, and they're such good people.
I remember I called you.
Yes.
And I was like, man, there's a place near the plaza. You said it's probably Solly's, or there's another place.
There's Kentucky Milk Bar was the other one I thought it might have been.
And there was Solly's. I go to Solly's. Uncle Solly saw me, and I was like, listen, Nick sent me. And we had the biggest laugh and conversation. We ordered the Vit Special. My daughter loves the Vit Special.
Sure, okay.
So the next time we shot my podcast, my son was there. We went back to Solly's to order the Vit Special. And now they're like, listen, Nick has a special. Solly's.
Yes, yeah.
So we're working on a DJ Fresh special.
No kidding. No kidding.
Bro.
Dude, amazing. And I promise you, you will be so surprised how good that is going to be for them and for you. It's the most rewarding thing.
That's the only reason I am doing it. For me, if I can help put someone's business or efforts on an additional step or pedestal, I'll do it.
I'm with you.
I've done that my entire career and I'm not going to stop.
Same.
Yes, sir. Brother man, I love you. I respect you.
Love you too. Respect you too.
Been a fan since I've known that you exist.
Same.
So shout out, bro.
Shout out to you.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
Check out hammyeats.co.za or .com. You will not regret it. Nick Hamman is about to leave the building. Thanks for tuning into this edition of Wow, What a Week. He's an incredible guy, incredible broadcaster. You can catch him on 5FM every morning between 6 and 9 a.m. Coming to you from Discover TV in 4 ways. Shout out to Julian and his crew, Trevor and his crew at Pezulu Works, and our executive producer, Keleso Modisa King. Additional production by Lati, and all social media by YBF. From me to you, we love you, we appreciate you, and thanks for tuning in. Till next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves.